Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining today. This is one of the more fun videos that I film consistently, and that is a Project Pan update. And I'm extra excited today because I have some empties and I hit a pan on one of my eyeshadows, so we get to kind of see that progress and then roll in some new things, which is really exciting. If you're new to my Project Pan, I will have the playlist linked down below so you can catch up on the progress I've made so far in 2025. But the way I've structured my project is I'm working on 5 makeup items at a time, and I say whether my goal is to completely use up that item or just hit pan on it. And my overall goal is to do that to 25 items in 2025. And then I'm also doing an eyeshadow project pan. So I choose by random 5 eyeshadows from all of my palettes combined. I put all the shades on a spreadsheet. I use a randomizer app to pick shades. And so then I'm working on 5 shades at once, hoping that they're cohesive. And then once I hit pan on one of the shades, I roll it out and pick a new one. Or I made the rule that once I use a shade 20 times, if I feel like there's just no progress being made or it's not a color that I think that I'm going to hit pan on anytime soon, I'm allowed to roll it out. So with all of that being said, I hope you're ready to see my updates, so just keep watching. So let's get started with the first item in my makeup project pan, and it comes from my Hourglass 6-pan palette. I'm trying to work my way through this palette this year. I think that was too lofty of a goal now that we're in it, but I've been working on the bronzer pretty consistently. So I don't know if it's gonna be easy to tell, but we've got pan all along the edge pretty much, and it is really flattened down when you look at it compared to the other colors. So still like a little bit of a hump towards this corner, but we've really flattened it. I've also, maybe you can tell, I've been kind of working on this like setting powder too, so that one's looking a little flatter. But I think with my past experience panning some Hourglass products, once I get to this point, once the pan starts showing through, it really goes quickly. So I'm thinking that that might happen with the bronzer, and I like the bronzer, but I think I chose it as kind of the easy first one to get through. And then, like I said, I kind of dip into this one every now and then I've been kind of mixing the blush shades here and there. So I don't know how realistic it is anymore that I will work through this entire palette, but I'm still going to make every effort to kind of keep putting things in my project pan from this palette as I work my way through, because I think I can at least use up 2 or 3 of the powders this year. But that is where we are on the bronzer. And just for context, I used this 19 times in April. The next product is my CoverGirl Clean Fresh powder in the kind of translucent shade. This is what we're looking at and this I feel like is just the powder that doesn't dye. Which I guess is not the worst thing in the world. I'm getting my money's worth, but I feel like, I'm sure when I put the pictures up to compare, I'll see the difference in the pan, but I just feel like it is such slow going. But I also just don't use a ton of powder, and I also feel like this is really like tightly packed in here, and I feel like it might be getting a little bit of hard pan, so I don't even know how much is really coming up when I dip my brush in there. But this is a good staple powder. It's affordable, it works well. I'm just trying to work my way through a couple powders in my collection, and since this one is kind of that more translucent light shade, that's why I chose to work on it kind of in the winter months. Now that we're getting closer to summer, I'm gonna try and make this work for as long as possible, but I might need to pull it out for a little bit and then put it back in the winter. I don't really know. But this is where we're at, and this one I used 20 times in the month of April. The next item I was working on is also a face product, and it is my ColourPop highlighter in Lunch Money. Again, I don't know if we're gonna see that much of a difference in the pan. I feel like everything is pretty much pushed up to the edges, so when I use it, I usually just kind of do a sweep like that and dot that on my face. So again, I think it's going to take probably the entire year to use this up, but I've made so much progress on this in the last like 2 years of owning it that I am super excited to use up a highlighter. And this is also just a great shade for all year round. It's like a mix of like the silver, but it's got the gold, it's the champagne. So I think it kind of goes well whether I'm doing a cool toned look or a more warm bronzy look. It can work either way. But this I used 19 times in the month of April. So now we have the exciting part. I have 2 products from my Project Pan makeup items that I am ready to move out of the project. The first is an empty, and it is my e.l.f. Plumping Gloss in Champagne Glam. Yes, there is still like the tiniest little bit down there, but if you can see when I unscrew it and try to get in there, like I literally can't pick up anything else. Like it's too far down for the brush to actually reach. So we are calling this good. I took the stopper out. It plumps, it was working well still. I could get maybe a spatula in there and get that out, but I don't have a spatula that will fit in this tube. So in the month of April, I used this 20 times, and for the entirety of its time in my Project Pan, I used it 63 times to use it up. So I think it's always interesting to see what that measurement is usage-wise, because when I started, it was pretty close to full. So that's just kind of a good measure to have on hand for how long it takes to use up a lip gloss. The next item that I had in my Project Pan, my goal was to hit pan on this, not use it completely up, and it was my Chanel Soleil Tan de Chanel Cream Bronzer. And I did hit pan, so you can see I definitely, was getting a little bowl going in the middle, and then a couple days ago I hit pan, and it just kind of grew into that. So I used this 19 times in the month of April, and to hit pan from where I started, it took me 37 uses. Just doing math for a second. 37 uses. So that's quite a lot, and I do pretty much use this almost every day that I'm doing a full face of makeup, but I am excited to roll both of these out. This is going to be added to the empties, and this also is going to be added to my list for my 25 products in 2025. So to replace both of those items, I do not have a hard and fast rule in my Project Pan that I have to replace an item with that same type of product. So I don't need to replace the bronzer with a bronzer necessarily. But what I decided to do is I'm pulling in 2 new lip products. One is an oldie, but we are just gonna work through it because we are so freaking close. I'm gonna roll back in my Makeup Forever Aqua Lip in 3C. The lip liner, I had this in my Project Pan for a lot of last year, but like, I just feel like it is so close. Like I've just gotta keep going and gotta try to use this up. It would be so exciting to use up a lip liner, and this is also one of the older ones in my collection. It's a great neutral pink shade that goes with a lot of different lip colors. It works in all the seasons. So I'm just gonna roll this back in and start using it again. And then the second lip product I decided to roll in is my Tarte Maracuja Juicy Lip Plump, the Click Pen in Primrose. And this is going to be harder to measure because we're not going to see where we're at until the product gets to up here and starts pushing the rest of the way up to being empty. So I would say this is maybe like half full. I used up my other one in White Peach last year. I don't remember if that was in a Project Pan or if that was just naturally. But again, I just figured this was also just a nice kind of more neutral bright pink, which would be great for this time of year. So I definitely think I can use this up in the summertime. So those are the 2 items that we're rolling back in. Hopefully we see some good progress and can add both of these to my empties for 2025. Let's move on to the eyeshadow Project Pan. This is also an exciting update because I did hit pan on one of the shades. So we're gonna be able to roll for a new shade and see how that gels with what I already have going in the project. So the first palette that I've been working from is my Alter Ego Sahara palette, and it is the shade Slate. On the bottom row, it's this shade. It's kind of a darker gray color, but I definitely feel like you can see the use happening in there. You can see when I do it this way, we're seeing the edge of the pan in there. So definitely slow going, but it is kind of a good crease shade. That's pretty much what I put very lightly in my crease every day. So since I feel like I'm seeing the use on it and a little bit of a dip, I'm gonna keep this in and keep going. And this I used 16 times in the month of April. The next shade that I've been using that I think has been in the project since the beginning as well is from my Natasha Denona Mini Sunset palette. And it is this shade on the end, Halo. Again, I feel like it's kind of difficult to see progress in here, but I definitely can tell. You can see there's a little bit of a dip going, and these are just such creamy, soft shadows that I know it's going to take me a minute to hit pan, but once I do, it'll just like go crazy, because that's what happened in my mini Biba palette. I hit pan on the middle shade, my favorite shade in there, and then all of a sudden it's like it was gone. So I feel like that could happen, and I've been using so little of this recently. I literally only put it on the inner corner of my eye, and maybe I'll kind of switch it up this month and start using it more as an olive or lid shade to kind of get more use out of it. But that is where we're looking on that, so we're going to keep that one in as well. And again, I use this one 16 times. The next shade comes from my Sigma Warm Wishes palette, and it is this mulled wine shade, which has been working really well as a liner. That's what I've been lining my lash line with. So you can see I've got like a dip going in the middle of where my pencil brush has kind of been going in. So with that kind of use, I definitely think that I can hit pan on this pretty easily, maybe in another month or two. So we're gonna keep this in because so far that's working really well as a liner. So I'm getting that use pretty consistently. And so again, I use this one 16 times. The next shade I had rolled in last month, and it was from my ABH Sultry palette, which was kind of exciting. And while it was initially scary, I've actually enjoyed using it. It was the shade Cyborg, this bright silver. So again, you can kind of see the dip going on in there, which I think is really great because this is a shade that I didn't really dip into a ton before because it just didn't seem like it was that great for everyday use. But I am wearing it today just kind of more as a topper on my overall lid shade, and it has been working really well. And it kind of changes my lid shade to go from maybe like a gold or a bronze to a more like lighter beigey bronze, if that makes sense. So it's just kind of been really nice for that and a way to use that shade. Again, I use that 16 times. I don't know if you're sensing a theme here with the number of times I'm using shades. But let's take a look at the one that I'm able to roll out. And this one comes from my Sigma New Mod palette. And it was the shade Glam. So it's this one on the end. So we hit a ton of pan on that. I hit that pretty soon after my last update video and then just kept using it for the month. So I used this 16 times this month and we hit pan. So that is very exciting. I really enjoyed that shade, and it also kind of made me dip into this palette more often, so that was really fun. But now we are rolling this out, and I used the Pretty Random app on my phone. I deleted this shade Glam from my spreadsheet row so it didn't get included or be able to be picked twice, and we rolled number 177 out of 195. I can't believe I still have 195 eyeshadows that don't have pan. So we rolled number 177, which comes from my Alter Ego Coastal palette. So we've got the Sahara and the Coastal going. And in Coastal, it ended up being the shade Shore, which is this one at the top. So I think that will be a really great all over lid shade. So let me swatch all the colors together so we can see the color story that we're working with. So here's all the colors swatched. So we have Slate from Alter Ego Sahara. We've got Cyborg from ABH Sultry. We've got Halo from Natasha Denona Mini Sunset. We've got Mulled Wine from Sigma Warm Wishes. And then at the top, we've got that pink shade Shore from the Alter Ego Coastal palette. So I actually think all together, those look pretty good. We've got kind of a cool toned look going on, which I've been enjoying. And so I am happy that these colors all go together. We can keep using this as a liner. I think that pink and the silver play off each other really nice. This kind of gold inner corner is kind of throwing me off, but we'll make it work. I also think those could complement each other, so we'll just have to play around with this in the next month and see. But I think that is such an exciting update. We've got 2 items to add to the 2025 usage makeup list. I've got another shadow to put on my pan list to up that pan percentage, and we'll just keep going with what we're going. I can't believe that it is May. We're over a quarter of the way through 2025, making our way to the halfway point. Spring is here, summer's on the way. I'm feeling motivated, feeling inspired. I hope you are as well, and that this video helped you in some sort of way to feel those things and to maybe take a look at your own makeup collection and maybe put together a swatch of things from random eyeshadow palettes and make a look out of that to get more use out of some of your palettes. I don't know. But give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. I would really appreciate it. Please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're notified of all of my upcoming videos, and I will see you next time. Bye.